Welcome back to the Naked Lens podcast. I'm Viviana, and I'm aware of my absence. And you know what? To touch base on that, a girl needed to remember who she was and her potential, and that's all that you need to know. But we are back. We are better. We are happy. We are thriving. And I've had a lot of time to peep y'all's work. And I have a lot to say. But for now, I just want to touch base on cinematography and help you guys out a little bit because I feel like the lines are completely blurred right now, and adding grain to your photos does not make the image cinematic. So, we're going to deep dive into that. Not even deep dive. Well, kind of. But we're just going to dive into it and have a little chat because like I said, I've peeped y'all's work and I think we're going to perfect it just a tad bit. I've had a lot of you actually reach out to me about cinematography and understanding it in certain ways. So I hope this episode helps you guys out a lot. And for those of you who checked in on me while I was gone, you're amazing and you're super sweet. And thank you for noticing my absence. Kind of clocked me on that one, but it's okay. Anyways, what else has been happening in my life? We went to Miami Swim Week. That was freaking sick. I met so many people, so many gorgeous models. Everybody was fantastic. We only have, a few that might be on the blacklist, but it happens. Shit happens. And, it is what it is. As for traveling wise, I think I'm going to be traveling to a few cities soon. So to stay up to date with that, let's check out my Instagram story. And I think we're going to do a few more collabs too. So stay tuned for collabs. Stay tuned for cities that I'm going to be visiting. And yeah. I also changed my name. I've been wanting to for a fat minute, but I couldn't because I submitted everything through magazines and Swim Week. And I was like, I'm doing a name change. So I had to wait till that was over. So it is now VT Photography, Viviana Tironi. I think it's just easier that way. And we're just going to ride with that, okay? So, little name update. But yeah, same thing. 3 Y's at the end because why not? And this weekend, we have a busy weekend. We have a wedding. We have some cinematic photo shoots and a graduation. A little late, but, it's fine. Everybody be going at their own pace. People get busy. I get it. All right. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. So what are we talking about when we say cinematography? When we say we're a cinematographer or that we do cinema-styled images, we're usually referring to images that carry emotion, visual storytelling, and like a specific mood or atmosphere. And with that said, like every frame is a decision. It is not just a click of the camera. It's a decision. There's a lot that goes into it. And it's not just slapping grain onto any image you have or making it blurry. And I think that's where we're getting lost in translation. So how do we do that? I'm going to break it down into 5 parts for you guys. This way we can keep it as simple as possible. But if you're here and you're like, well, I don't have a film camera and I don't have, it doesn't matter what gear you have. It's all in the editing process and how you decide to frame your work. So let's learn how to do that. So for number 1, I have lighting is key. Like lighting is literally everything. And you can't really like fake this. So everybody walking around with their like little light boxes and stuff, no, leave the light box at home. We're shooting in natural light. If you want cinema, we're shooting in natural light. Or if we're doing stuff at night, obviously you might want to use like different colors, whatever. That's fine. But if you're trying to do, more storytelling, leave the light box at home, please, for the love of God. I'm tired of seeing you guys carry them. It's like, no. Editorial, yes. Cinematic, no. yeah, we're using natural light, we're using practical light or intentional shadows. Um, Cinematic images often use directional, soft, or like moody style lighting, window light, a single bulb in a studio. So you just really need to sit there and like ask yourself, where is the light coming from and what is it saying? Emotionally, of course. Like, there's, yes, there can be harsh light, but it's like bright light and harsh light during the day is giving more of like early 2000s energy, maybe that like Y2K energy. And a great reference to like that harsh lighting, 2000s lighting, would be the Cocoa Beach pier shoot that I did. Um, and I think that like kind of shows you the like Y2K aquamarine style images. If you're doing like dark moody lighting, um obviously it's going to give like a softer, a sadder tone. This would be a great example for my Entangled shoot where I had the girl in plastic and it was just very dark, moody, and that's exactly what I needed and exactly what I wanted. So that's a great example for that type of lighting and that type of cinema if that's what you're trying to do. And then, of course, having like off light or harsh light, maybe like a golden hour. Not a big fan of golden hour. I'm a big fan of blue hour, but that's a personal preference. A way that you can see this is going to be through my couple that I did by the boat that had extremely harsh lighting, which was perfect because it added those really deep, intense shadows that I wanted in order to capture more of like that passionate love, but also keeping it softer, if that makes sense. So, lighting is key. What do you want? Study the time of day, study the sun, go touch grass, go people watch, and figure out what lighting works best for you, obviously, and the images that you're trying to create. My second tip for this is to frame like a director. You want to frame your images to help play along with the story that you're trying to tell. So, using techniques like rule of thirds, negative space, or like center framing is really going to help you out. So, let's just say you're watching a movie, right? And you notice that the frames are constantly switching, which like you might not notice it at first because it took me a while to like train my brain to like actually see how many times the camera flips when people are like talking to each other or like side profiling, but it happens a lot once you're paying attention to it. And it really does play a part into how the story is told or where the movie is going. So, think about your frames when you're taking these pictures. Don't just like take all the angles and just hope that one of them works out. Actually, like sit, study your model, and learn how to frame images to give you a certain type of feel. Adding layers or depth by shooting through objects using foreground blur or creating leading lines is something that I do often. Actually, like way too much, but I've made it my signature, honestly. And if you see a little blur or a little object covering in the front, it's probably my work. A great example of this would be my tennis shoot. I do it with every shoot. I'm not even gonna lie, I really do. Tennis shoot, I did it. I did it for the couple shoot. I did it for a few other beach shoots actually. But like I said, I do it all the time and it's my favorite thing to do. It's just a different perspective. Oh, the ones with the horse, I did that one too. All of these are just ways of capturing your subject and your model with depth going on around it. So like for the horse one, let's just say I had a horse in the back, horse in the front, model was in the middle with the whip. Again, a little prop is almost key every single time during a cinematic photo shoot. And then the horse in the front was also like kind of more outgoing and more rigid, and the one in the back was more chill. But it also played into the story. So framing your images not to just be dead on, face images is key to this. You want your frame to be a little bit wider. You want, depth, you want leading lines, you want symmetry, you want Literally just something different, whether you're, and I don't mean like shoot through a flower or shoot through a tree. Like that's not all I mean by that. Like I know that's the most common one, and you'll see that on Pinterest all the time. But learning how to use different objects or items and people is key to like getting that director style shot. Also, you're going to be blocking your subjects like characters in a scene. So like if you notice in movies like somebody's talking to somebody, normally that person will be on frame first and then it'll immediately switch to like the person that they're talking to. And then it'll switch to like a wide angle of them both talking. So it's like think about that when you're framing your images because you want to have that depth of perspective, especially like if you're on set of like a music video or something that's a little bit more storytelling wise and not just pictures. You want to have multiple angles and multiple shots of the same thing, so just open up your mind like a director would. This is again something that you really have to train yourself to obviously see. So honestly, like what has helped me has been like watching a film on mute and just studying the framing. It's like literally just sitting in front of the TV screen, mute. Look at where the frames are, look at who's talking to who, and like your brain is going to open up to a whole different level of seeing things the way they are and how directors see things. And honestly, of course, I'm going to recommend The Notebook because why wouldn't I recommend The Notebook? The Notebook is perfect. It's a movie with great stills, great lighting, and the depth of the characters are huge. And so obviously the actors are pretty good at what they're doing. So being able to see their movements and stuff while also seeing the frame changes is going to help unlock an entire different part of your brain. Like trust. Just do it once, maybe even if it's for like 20 minutes. Like I'm not saying you have to watch the whole movie for 3 hours with no sound, but at least 20 minutes dedicated to just flipping through old films or films of the era that you want to take pictures in. So if you're doing like early 2000s, watch early 2000s movie, vintage movies, whatever, etc., etc. Literally 10, 20 minutes, watch the framing. It's going to unlock a different part of your brain. Color grading and tone. Some of y'all's stuff is saturated as fuck in the most respectful way. And then you just throw in grain. That's exactly what we're not going to do. And here's why. Because you need to let your photo breathe a little bit. Let it breathe. Take some space away from it and see where it goes because you want it to be natural. You want it to be cinematic. And so colors and color theory, if you haven't tapped into that at all, girl, clock in, because color theory is huge. You have blues that might feel like cold, distant, warm, soft, deep. Like there's whole different lore in color theory, which maybe I'll do an episode on color theory. But obviously you have your warm tones that feel nostalgic or more intimate. And you see a lot of cinematographers, they will add that heavy orange yellow hue to their photos. I'm not a big orange hue person, but I will add some, but obviously it's not going to be like as dramatic as golden hour. And I just think if you're editing, like don't go wild and desaturate slightly, crush the blacks out, add a bit of split toning in there. I shoot Sony. I love Sony because the colors are already mute. So I know a lot of you shoot Canon. Ick. Sorry. But it's an ick. And I just don't like the vividness of Canon because I don't think it goes well with my work. But if that's what you want to do, then you just have to learn how to edit differently, of course. And also, like, some of you guys are just really quick to edit. Like, I will see you post the video and be like, took these photos this day on your story. And then, like, maybe, like, 5 hours later, you already post the pictures. And it's like, the hype hasn't died yet. Trust. The hype hasn't died. Let the photos be bomb and then post them. Like, let it simmer. This is art. This is art. I mean, some of you literally just put shit out to put content out there. But it's boring, it's lame, I've seen it before, whatever. Let it simmer, let it be art, figure out what to do, and, just treat it like art, because it is art. And you've never seen Picasso paint a picture in one day and put it out there. So keep that in mind when you're putting your work out and you're doing your images. Okay, so the next one is story in a still. A cinematic image suggests a before and an after. And what I mean by this is that there's a sense of time, movement, or inner thought or dialogue that the subject is expressing through their body language, or maybe what's outside of the frame, what's behind them. And it adds a little like mystery to it. And that's what you need to remember, is that there's a sense of time, there's a sense of movement. What are we doing? What are we portraying in these images? You know, is she frolicking through a field? Why is she frolicking through a field? What happened? Did she meet the person that she's been wanting to meet for the rest of her life? Or did she just go through a terrible breakup and she's just frolicking through a field to feel something again? You never know. And that's what you want the image to be put out there for. It's left to interpretation, and you want your viewers to look at your image and be like, wow, this is insane. Like, this is crazy. So don't be afraid to let your viewers, you know, question what's going on. And I think, honestly, it just makes the image stronger. And I mean, like, think about paintings. You go in a museum and, like, some of them are just splattered paint, but at least you're staring and you're looking, and it makes you want to know more about the painting or what the artist was feeling. So, you know, just think about it like that. What is your model doing, or what is your client doing that is letting the viewer or the interpreter understand the image or take the image in a certain way? We also have movement and stillness. So this goes hand in hand, obviously. You don't need literal movement. Like, you just need the feeling of movement. So this can come from, like, motion blur. It can come from wind in the subject's hair. It can be, you know, a car in the distance, a hill, a light flickering. You know, anything that, like, mildly suggests, like, a gesture or makes the photo come alive just even a tad bit more. You know, obviously, like, you can do this by shooting at a lower shutter speed or capturing more of, like, candid moments with your model or your client. And yeah, just let there be a breath of fresh air, or just air in general, because you don't want your photos looking stiff, especially in cinema, because then it's just gonna look posed, and that's not really, like, cinematography in a sense. Like, yes, your model does not have to be doing something all the time, but direct eye contact in the camera is, like, you kind of want to stay away from that, in my opinion. And then also, like, posing wise, like, you need to understand the naturalness of posing in a posed sense. Pose to be not posed. I really hope you guys understand what I mean by when I say that. But understand posing, understand your model's body, literally study body types. I don't know why you guys may or are, I was gonna try and, like, be soft and squishy about it, but, like, no, like, it's very clear that some of you don't understand your model's body types, and that plays a huge role in making these images come to life, because not all poses work for everybody the same way, and some of you guys just need to remember that. Not every pose is going to work for the same person. Not every body type is the same. So study your model, figure it out, and go from there. Let's talk about just, like, tools in general then now. Because yes, like, full frame sensors help, you know, whatever, but you can create cinematic images, like, with your phone too. Like, if you understand light, story, and tone, like, you don't need a camera. Like, honestly, I would tell you to go out and leave your camera at home and learn how to capture a cinema styled image just with your phone, and then, like, upgrade yourself, because you're just going to train your eye. Like, you need to train your eye first in order to fully understanding how to shoot cinema. Technique wise, I would say shoot in RAW, use manual focus at times, because I'm a big autofocus girl, I'm not gonna lie. frame wide, get different light in there, get different people in there, get different backgrounds, and don't over edit, don't copy trends blindly, don't forget your subject's emotions, and a beautiful frame literally means nothing if it doesn't feel human. And we all have to remember that. Cinema is all about feeling and what you're putting out there. So don't get lost in translation. Don't get lost in trends. Don't get lost in, heavy edits. It's just, you have to really open up your brain for this. And you have to be open to other people's feelings in order to do this. So keep that in mind when you are doing these, and don't fall into all of these little stupid traps on social media, because you don't need that. I hope you guys got a quick understanding of these 5 tips to help you on your journey through cinematography, because like I said, I feel like a lot has been lost, and I just wanted to run through this really quick, not yap at you for hours and hours about the topic, but just give you something to think about, for you guys to, grasp, understand, take a few tips and tricks, and kind of just go about it. You guys just need to remember that cinematic images are intention meeting intuition, and all you need really for these is an emotional compass and a sense of timing. um and a willingness to slow down and actually see the people in front of you. This is not a style for people pushing just for money. You it's really not a money style, I would say, because for money, it would just be quick shots. You pull a family out, you pull a client out, you take a few pictures and you move on. With this style, I always get to know my couple. I get to know the person that's in front of me, what they want, what they're feeling, how they want to, portray their love in images or their personality through images. And it's not a quick process. I spend time with my clients, I understand them, and then I capture them cinematically. And I think that's really what you have to do if you want a deep cinematic image and to really understand the whole process of cinematography. You just need to remember your client's emotions are deep and they're valid, and that's why you're portraying them in these different lights, literally. Hope today's episode inspired you. If you're really wanting to dive deeper or pick my brain, like I said, feel free to DM me. I'm always open to helping you guys out. And if you know anybody that's getting into cinematography, obviously recommend them this, because why not? And yeah, DM me your thoughts and we will chat next week. Bye.